Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Which country has the most complicated, the most cluttered politics in the world? You ask me. My answer immediately, I know that you expect me to say India because Indian politics is so messy and so much fun. But I can tell you there is one democracy's politics that is much messier, much more fun and much more mathematically challenging, and that is Israel. Now, what's going to happen in Israel is, and the reason we are talking about Israel today is that, as you know, we've talked about this often enough, that in 2 years, Israel has had 4 elections. All 4 elections have been inconclusive. So much so that after one election, that is the third election, when they tried to set up a coalition government, even that coalition government failed. That coalition government was with the formula that for some time Benjamin Netanyahu will continue as prime minister and then Benny Gantz, his coalition partner, will take over. So this was a divided prime ministership idea, but obviously niyati theek nahi thi. It was nobody's idea to give up power like that. So Netanyahu immediately, as the coalition came into power, began marginalizing his coalition partner, the leader of his coalition partners, that is the person who was to take over after him, and that coalition fell. So as a result, what you've had is that for 2.5 years now, you had a government in Israel that has pretty much not appointed any fresh ministers, that has pretty much not passed any budgets. In fact, last year, the fight between Netanyahu and Benny Gantz was over this. Benny Gantz wanted his budget passed and Netanyahu would not pass the budget. So for 2.5 years, no new ministers appointed, no budget passed, and sectors like health, education, etc., they've just been allowed to drift. The one good thing Netanyahu did this time, because it was on the eve of the elections, he got the country vaccinated super fast. He bought the Pfizer vaccine at the highest price that Pfizer could get. I think that is the most expensive Pfizer doses sold in the world. But he had his population, which is a small population, just about 1 crore of people, fully vaccinated, as a result of which Israel is now back to normal. You can hug, you can be in groups, you don't need the masks. That is the one thing he did right. Why? Because he was heading for his 4th election. Now, the 4th election was inconclusive, and once again he was carrying on with a caretaker government. And in the Israeli system, he was first given a month to try and form a government. He failed, then somebody else was given a chance. Now the chance has been given to a leader called Yair Lapid. Yair Lapid, who is a former TV anchor, quite a star. He was given a chance to form a government. He was given 28 days on June 5. Those 28 days are ending now, and it does look like that he is putting a coalition together. Now, this is a funny coalition, like every coalition in Israel. I am telling you, this is the most cluttery thing for me to deal with also. I've today spent a couple of hours just trying to figure out what is what, because also for us who don't know Hebrew or Arabic, some parties have Hebrew names, some have Arabic names, and they have their English equivalents, and there is every chance of mixing up. Once again, if you find Israeli politics, if you live in Israel, you are fed up of Israeli politics, you are a journalist in Israel or an analyst, and then you come to India, you will feel very relieved, because in comparison, India is very simple. Because also in India, friend doesn't turn foe and foe doesn't turn friend at such quick frequency. It does in India also, but in Israel it's quite remarkable. So what has now happened is that this other rival of Netanyahu's, Yair Lapid, the former TV anchor, TV star, he was given on May 5, 28 days by President Reuven Rivlin to form a coalition. He now says that he has the numbers. So today he's gone to the president to say, I have the numbers. By Wednesday evening, he has to give his list of MKs, as they are called in Israel, members of Knesset. Knesset is the Hebrew word for parliament. 61 he needs in a house of 120. Chances are that with everybody that he collects, what we might call in Hindi as kahin ki eat, kahin ka roda, Bhanmati ne kunba joda, that he will somehow put this together. 61 members, which means even if one doesn't turn up or one abstains on the day of the voting or the vote of confidence, then this coalition will not work. Of course, if no coalition works now, there will be a fifth election. That is what Netanyahu may be happy with. Now, what Yair Lapid has now done is he set up a change coalition. So, this coalition, left, right, center, they are all coming together. Change means get Netanyahu out, because he's been in power now for 12 years. 12 years, almost like a one-man government. Interesting thing is that almost everybody who's leading a party that will now join a coalition against him, if this government does pass the vote of confidence, would have served under Netanyahu in the past in his Likud government. So this is also a case of dost na raha, pyar na raha, because these people get fed up with one personality cult and in the course of time leave. So Israel has a lot of political parties. That also comes from this peculiar Israeli system, which I will again talk about. We've talked about it in the past CTC episodes on Israel. I will share the links with you. But also because Israel has a proportionate system of representation, which means a voter does not vote for a candidate. A voter votes for a party. At the end of the day, number of votes a party collects, on the basis of that percentage, the party is allocated a number of seats in the Knesset. What this also leads to is, and the system also allows various parties to contest together. They may not have the same policies, but sort of some areas of agreement, so they can contest together, so they can pool their votes and they can use the surplus votes to get more members Knesset. For example, one party gets enough votes to get 5 MKs, but still has a few votes left. Those votes, so they don't go waste, you combine with 5 other parties and see how you can combine those votes. That's why when you look at Israeli election results, you will find many parties listed as lists, such and such list, such and such list. These lists are parties who contest together to combine their votes. I am just giving you a longer background for us to understand the mess that we are getting into right now as we go into this new government formation, or the plan of the new government formation. So late last night, I saw stories on the Washington Post, New York Times, Jerusalem Post, Times of Israel, all saying that now Yair Lapid, the main challenger to Netanyahu, is ready with his own coalition and he seems to have the numbers. How have the numbers come? He did not have the numbers, but Netanyahu also did not have the numbers. So what Yair Lapid has done right now, just as his 28-day period is ending, he's got a gentleman called Naftali Bennett. Now Naftali Bennett is a leader of the right. In fact, Yair Lapid is a centrist. Yair Lapid believes in a two-state solution, Israel and Palestine. Naftali Bennett is dead opposed to the two-state solution. But these two have joined hands. Yair Lapid has got Naftali Bennett together with him. Bennett, 49 years old, has only 7 seats in the Knesset, whereas Yair Lapid has 15 more from his party, but with the list, in the list that he contested, they have more seats, because if you add up all his list, that is 16 plus 15 plus 2, that is 33 seats. Netanyahu's party and his collaborators have 36 seats, but then he is able to get others. Now Naftali Bennett brings 7, small number of seats, but shifts the balance, takes the number that Lapid can collect to 61. So he is using that leverage so that, one, he will be sharing power as Prime Minister, he will be alternating with Yair Lapid. Not just that, but on the power of his decisive 7 seats in a house of 120, he will also become Prime Minister first. So chances are, nothing is impossible, everything can change in Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu is not a pushover, so he will play his game, try and get defectors from here, there, to see that even if he cannot form a government now, this government doesn't work out. So there is a 5th election and he still has a chance, and he can then continue as caretaker Prime Minister yet again. In that process, he also stays out of the prosecution tangle because he's facing corruption, bribery charges. As long as he's holding a constitutional office, he cannot be prosecuted. The day he loses his office, he will be prosecuted. So, in fact, for Naftali Bennett, what excuse has he given for breaking rank with his right wing? I would say not, if not an ally, but somebody with whom he might have more ideological harmony or understanding. That is Netanyahu. The reason is given for breaking away from him, and the reason he gave for breaking away from him when he was in his cabinet in a key position was precisely this, that this has now become a personality cult, and all of Netanyahu's politics is about protecting himself from prosecution in this corruption case, and that is undermining governance, and that is undermining the national interest for Israel. So, Naftali Bennett justifying his joining in this unlikely coalition, he said, his exact quote, and he tweeted this, and every paper has quoted it, all media has quoted it, he tweeted this, he said, we could go to the 5th election, 6th election, until our home falls on us. We should stop all this and we should now take responsibility, and taking responsibility means setting up a government, even if it means embracing Yair Lapid, who's of the opposite ideology. What he's not telling you in this tweet, why should he tell you that he also becomes, with just 7 seats, he becomes prime minister first in a divided prime ministership. So, he remains prime minister till the fall or till towards the end of 2023. That is, of course, if his government lasts that long. So, in fact, I am also sharing with you on the screen a set of tweets by very well known Israeli journalist who answered her readers' questions and viewers' questions for some time as soon as this change came about late last night Indian time. So, please see those on my screen, and also the link that I will give you with description. Netanyahu, of course, called what Naftali Bennett has done the fraud of the century, except what Netanyahu has been planning. For example, if this is fraud of the century, if Netanyahu is right that Bennett's betrayal, quote unquote betrayal, is fraud of the century, then what Netanyahu has been trying, the fraud of the millennium. So, what has he been trying? Netanyahu said nobody would have voted for Naftali Bennett if they knew what he was going to do. Now, Bennett was not just Netanyahu's former colleague and right wing and a fellow traveler in the same right wing ideology. When the fighting with Hamas started, which a lot of the world thought was Netanyahu's way of signaling to other right wing parties in Israel that you cannot become part of an alliance which will have a left wing core, left wing by Israeli standards of today, not Israeli standards of the past, when the country was ruled by the Israeli labor for decades after its independence. So, he said, he thought that the moment this fighting with Hamas starts, the right wing parties will get a message. That obviously happened, and Naftali Bennett had tweeted that with what is happening right now, he cannot see, basically indicating that he cannot go against Netanyahu, or he cannot become part of another government. But then he had a change, and that change came about, that excuse people got to justify that change or this shift. Another leader called Gideon Sa'ar, who is also a leader of the right, who has also been a minister and a former chief of staff with Netanyahu. He also went to the other side now against Netanyahu, and both said that the ceasefire that he had signed with Hamas under American pressure was no victory, it was like a surrender. So, they both used that ceasefire to pull away. So, they said that he failed to achieve any objective during this fighting. He failed to fully prevent rockets from falling over Israel, because 12 Israelis died, although 250 at least Palestinians died in Gaza, but 12 Israelis died, so he was not able to stop all rockets. There is also an ongoing controversy about the remains of some Israeli soldiers which are with Gazans, so Israel has been demanding those, and Israeli right had thought, Israeli nationalists had thought that one of the demands that will be fulfilled before ending this fighting, this phase of fighting, would be to get those remains. That also did not happen. On the other hand, what Israel got was an unconditional ceasefire. So, Sa'ar, who had left
Likud in 2020, he said that government had become a tool for the personal interests of the person in charge, including matters limited to his own criminal trials. That is what he said then. And now both Saar and Bennett said that this ceasefire showed that even Netanyahu's government had not been able to achieve anything. So Gideon Saar actually tweeted, former ally, now he is in the Change coalition against Netanyahu. He tweeted that, oh, look at this, the best air force in the world, the best intelligence in the world, and yet what does Netanyahu achieve? An unconditional ceasefire. This is embarrassing. So all of them have used this excuse. The same fighting which Netanyahu thought would bail him out has actually been used against him by his former allies turned rivals. That is what has happened. Although Netanyahu has said, look, what has changed? 1 week back, Bennett had said that he is never going to give me up. Now he's given up on me and he's gone to the other side. In fact, if anything, these 11 days of fighting showed, it is that you cannot fight Hamas with a left-wing government. He's saying that, hinting at, obviously, at Yair Lapid. So what Netanyahu tried to do, which I said, if one is fraud of the century, that would have been fraud of the millennium. He actually went out to both these right-wing leaders who are now going to the other side, Bennett and Saar, and he said, let's do a three-way split of the prime ministership. Let's all join a coalition. So 1/3 time I am prime minister, 1/3 time Saar is prime minister, 1/3 time Bennett is prime minister. Now that will be something. In our country, in India, we've seen a couple of instances of where parties have tried to divide chief ministership. Meghalaya was one a long time back. Late 70s, that sort of worked well in Meghalaya. It was consecrated by the church there. There was another in Kashmir after that. Ghulam Nabi Azad became chief minister for the first half, but after that the government fell. The PDP could not get its own chief minister, and usual smoke and mirror games that Kashmir is familiar with followed after that. In this case, he offered a three-way deal, so 3 prime ministers in one term of the Knesset. That doesn't seem to be happening, and what is now likely is that this very unlikely coalition will come in. Now, in this coalition, Lapid, as I told you, believes in a two-state solution. The other person who will become prime minister first, he believes in one Israel, so much so that he even wants West Bank territories also annexed. So nothing of the sort will happen. I think you will have a kind of government that will have a common minimum program and will last as long as it can. But outside, Netanyahu will be working very hard. He's not that old. He's at 71. He's just a year older than Mr. Modi. So he will keep pushing at either pulling this government down and installing one of his own, or orchestrating a 5th election, because that is what works for him. Otherwise, he has no future. Now, who is Lapid? Lapid has a party called Yesh Atid, which means there is a future. Saar has a party called New Hope. So all these interesting new names have come up in Israel. And the most unusual partner in this coalition will be the Arab parties. Now, Arabs have 21% of Israel's population. It is an underappreciated fact that 21% of Israel's population are Israeli Arabs. They are not Palestinians. They also have many parties and they contest as lists. So party, which is the joint list, which has a larger number of seats, once again members of that list can go here and there. And similarly, there is the Ram party. Ram in Hebrew means thunder, but it's also the acronym of the party, which is the Arab list. So Ram, or the Arab list, or thunder in Hebrew, has 4 members. Those 4 members are crucial for this new coalition to cross its threshold of 61 or reach its threshold of 61. So once again, Netanyahu will be hoping that before the vote of confidence or at the vote of confidence, either Ram is put off or 1 or 2 of its members either vote against the new coalition or abstain, or Yemina, which is a party that Bennett heads, which has 7 seats, something happens there and defections take place there. So the game is not yet over, but I would say the stalemate has now been broken in Israel, and it's quite likely that soon enough we will have a new prime minister in Israel. His name will be Naftali Bennett. How long he will last? all bets are off.